The annotated element interface. The annotated element interface supports reflection for annotation and is implemented by the classes method, field, constructor, class, and package among others. The annotated element interface is defined in java.lang.reflect package, and in turn, this annotated element interface defines several other methods like getAnnotation, getAnnotations, getDeclaredAnnotations, isAnnotation present, getDeclaredAnnotation, getAnnotations by type, and getDeclaredAnnotation by type. Let us know more about these methods in the next slide. The annotated element interface defines several methods, among which we have already discussed about the following two methods. They are getAnnotation method and getAnnotations method. Very briefly, we'll again try understanding about these methods with a bit more detail. First, we have the getAnnotation method. The getAnnotation method of java.lang.class is used to get the annotation of the specified annotation type if such an annotation is present in this class. The method returns that class in the form of an object. Otherwise, it returns null. That is, if the specified annotation type is not present in this class, it returns null. This is the syntax or general form of getAnnotation method. It takes an annotation that is for query and returns a annotation object if at all it is present. Here, T is the type of annotation that is being queried for and returned if present. Next, we have the getAnnotations method. The getAnnotations method of java.lang.class is used to get the annotations present in this class. The method returns an array of annotations present. If there are no annotations present in this class, then it returns an array of length 0. The caller of this method can modify the returned array. This is the syntax of getAnnotations method. So it does not take any parameter, but it returns an array of annotations if at all it is present, else it returns an array of length 0. In addition to the getAnnotation and getAnnotations method, the annotated element interface defines several other methods, two of which have been available since JDK version 5. The first method is getDeclaredAnnotations method with the general form public annotation getDeclaredAnnotations. The getDeclaredAnnotations method of java.lang.class returns annotations that are directly present on this class element and ignores inherited annotations. If no annotation is set, then it returns 0. It returns all non-inherited annotations present in the invoking object. So this is the syntax of getDeclaredAnnotations. Next, we have the method which is annotation present method. This has a general form public boolean is annotation present class annotype, where annotype is a class object corresponding to the annotation type. This method returns true if the annotation specified by annotype is associated with the invoking object. Else, it returns false. To these, JDK8 adds three more methods: getDeclaredAnnotation, getAnnotationsByType, and getDeclaredAnnotationsByType methods. Of these, getAnnotationByType and getDeclaredAnnotationsByType automatically work with the repeated annotation. Let us discuss about these three methods briefly. The getDeclared annotation method. The getDeclared annotation method of java.lang.reflect.annotated element interface is used to get the declared annotation of the specified declared annotation type, if such an declared annotation is present in the class implementing this interface. The method returns that class in the form of an object. The syntax is as follows: public P get declared annotation of class declared annotation class. This method get declared annotation takes a parameter declared annotation class, which is same as the type of the declared annotation that is to be returned. The return value of this declared annotation is an object. So here T is an object of the declared annotation class implementing this interface. This method throws a null pointer exception if the given declared annotation class is null. Next we have the getAnnotationsByType method. The getAnnotationsByType method of java.lang.reflect.field is used to return annotations that are associated with this field element. This is an important method to get annotation for the field object. If there are no annotations associated with this field element, then an empty array is returned. The syntax of getAnnotationsByType method is public P getAnnotationsByType class annotation class. This method accepts annotation class as a parameter, which is the class object corresponding to the annotation type. This method returns all annotations of this element for the specified annotation type. If the annotations are associated with this element is present, else an array of length 0 is returned. That is, if the specified annotation type is present, then all annotations will be written. That is, a list of annotations will be written. If at all it is not present, then an array of length 0 will be written. This method getAnnotationsByType throws a null point exception if the given annotation class is null. Lastly, we have the getDeclaredAnnotationsByType method. The getDeclaredAnnotationsByType method of java.lang.class class is used to get the declared annotations of the specified declared annotation type present in this class. The method returns an array of declared annotations for the specified declared annotation type if such an annotation is directly present. Otherwise, it returns null. The syntax of getDeclaredAnnotationsByType is as follows: public declared getDeclaredAnnotationsByType of class declared annotation class. This method getDeclaredAnnotationsByType method accepts a parameter declared annotation class, which is a type of the declared annotation that is to be got. This method returns an array of declared annotations for the specified declared annotation type, that is annotation class, which is nothing but a class object corresponding to the annotation type. This method getDeclaredAnnotationsByType throws a null point exception if the given declared annotation class is null. Using default values. We can give annotation members default values that will be used if no value is specified when the annotation is applied. A default value is specified by adding a default clause to a member's declaration. It has this general form: type member default value. Here, value must be of a type compatible with the type. Here is an example where the myAnno annotation is rewritten to include default values. This declaration gives a default value testing to str and 9000 to val. This means that neither value needs to be specified when at myAnno annotation is used. However, either or both can be given values if desired. Here are the following four ways in which at myAnno annotation can be used. In the first declaration, that is thus, we have neither specified value to str nor specified value to val. Therefore, both annotation members str and val uses default values. That is, the default value of testing is used by str and default value of 9000 is assigned to val. In the second declaration, we have specified value to str only. Therefore, the annotation member val defaults. That is, val takes the default value of 9000. Likewise, in the third declaration, we have specified value to val only. Therefore, the annotation member str defaults. That is, str takes the default value of testing. And if we observe the last declaration, we have specified values to both str and val. Therefore, there are no defaults. The following program demonstrates the use of default values in an annotation. We already have learned that we can specify default values to annotation members that will be used if no value is specified when the annotation is being applied. Default value is specified by adding a default clause to a member's declaration. So here in this program, we have the at myAnno annotation being declared with default values. And remember, these values must always be compatible with members type. So over here, I have a my at anno annotation being declared, and it has two members annotation members str and value with default values. So I have declared the default values using the default clause. So if at all I do not provide values for these two members, the default values will be given. Here, if we observe in this declaration, we have given testing value to the str member and value 9000 to the annotation member val. This means that neither value needs to be specified when at myAnno annotation is used. However, either or both can be given values if desired. Marker annotation. A marker annotation is a special kind of annotation that contains no members, and also it does not consist of any data. Here in this example, I have declared a annotation and it does not consist of any annotation members nor any data. Thus, this my marker annotation is a marker annotation. The sole purpose of this marker annotation is just to mark an item or a declaration. Thus, its presence as an annotation is suffice. Since marker interface or annotation contains no members, simply determining whether it is present or absent is sufficient. Therefore, the best way to determine if the marker annotation is present is to use the method isAnnotationPresent, which is defined in the annotated element interface. Here is an example that uses a marker annotation. In the program, we have declared the my marker annotation over here. Also observe that this particular my marker annotation does not contain any members or any data. That is, we have an empty set of braces over here. It shows that it does not contain any members nor any data. Here, notice that we do not need to follow at my marker with parenthesis when it is being applied. Thus, at my marker is applied simply by using its name like this, that is at my marker. It is not wrong to supply an empty set of parentheses, but they are not actually needed. That is, here we can also follow it by a empty set of parentheses, but it is not actually required. To determine if a marker annotation is present, we have used the method isAnnotation present over here. So this determines if there is a marker annotation.
Single member annotations. A single member annotation contains only one member. Here is an example. So in this particular example, I have declared a single member annotation named as my single. This is a single member annotation because it has only one annotation member being declared, that is value. I have also provided the retention policy of runtime for this single member annotation. So it will be available during runtime. This single member annotation, my single, works like a normal annotation except that it allows a shorthand form of specifying the value of the annotation member. That is, when only one member is present, we can simply specify the value for that member when the annotation is being applied or on any method. That is, we need not specify the name of the member. However, in order to use this shorthand, the name of the member must be value. That is, whenever this my single annotation is being applied on any member, we just need to provide the value for this annotation member value. We need not be specifying it as value equals to some integer value. That is, when I apply the my single annotation on any method, I just need to be providing the integer value. So this integer value 100 will be assigned to the annotation member value of annotation my single. Here is an example that creates and uses a single member annotation. So this program will be using single member annotation. If you observe this part of the code, a single member annotation is being declared. So we have seen this in the previous slide. So I had declared at my single, which is a single member annotation, and it has only one annotation member called value of type int. Also, for this particular single member annotation, my single, I have provided the retention policy of runtime. Usually, when we apply an annotation to a method, we give values to annotation members. And to give a annotation member a value, that member's name is assigned a value. But single member annotation comes with a difference. In the program, at my single is used to annotate my method. So here I have annotated the my method with the my single annotation. That is, I have annotated my method with the my single annotation. So when I annotated, I have just provided the value for the annotation member value, but I haven't written it as value equals 100. So notice that when the annotation is being applied, we need not specify the name of the annotation member value as value equals 100. When providing value for the annotation member value, just providing the value 100 within parenthesis is sufficient. So as expected, this particular program displays the value 100. So in this program, what I have done is I have just declared a my single annotation which has one single annotation member, and whenever I apply this annotation on any method, I just need to be providing the value for the annotation member. So I need not be writing it as annotation member equals value. So in this line, what I have done is I have just annotated the my method with the my single annotation and provided value 100 to value. We can use single value syntax when applying an annotation that has other members, but those other members must all have default values being assigned. For example, here in this annotation sum anno, which has two annotation members, the value of annotation member xyz is added with the default value of 0. So in this example, I have two annotation members value and xyz declared within the sum anno annotation. In this case, if we want to default xyz, we can apply at sum anno as shown by simply specifying the value for the annotation member value, that is 88, by using the single member syntax. So this is a single member syntax and I have provided one single value 88, and this will be assigned to the annotation member value of sum anno, whereas I haven't provided any value for xyz, so xyz will default. In this case, the annotation member xyz defaults to 0 and the annotation member value gets the value 88. Of course, if we want to specify a different value for annotation member xyz, then it requires that both the members be explicitly named as shown. So here at sum anno value equals 88 and xyz equals 99. So here when you need to be providing values for both the annotation members, then you need to be explicitly specifying the values and also specifying the annotation member names. So here at sum anno value is equal to 88 tells that you are assigning a value 88 to annotation member value, and xyz equals 99 tells that you are assigning value 99 to annotation member xyz. Always remember, whenever we are using single member annotation, the name of that member must be a value. So when we are using a single member annotation, the name of that member must be a value. That is, here we need not be writing it as value equals 88. Instead, we can just write it as 88 within parenthesis. This is only when we are using the single member syntax, single member annotation syntax.
The built-in annotations. Java defines many built-in annotations. Among the built-in annotations, most of them are used for special purpose, but 9 annotations are used for general purpose. Of these 9 general purpose annotations, 4 annotations are imported from java.lang.annotation. They are @retention, @documented, @target, and @inherited. The remaining 5 general-purpose annotations @override, @deprecated, @functional interface, @save-whereas, and @suppress warnings are included in java.lang. Now let us explore each of them in more detail.
The first built-in annotation is at retention. The at retention annotation is an annotation which is designed such that it can be used only as an annotation to another annotation. It specifies the retention policy. The second built-in annotation is at documented. The at documented annotation is used as a marker interface that tells a tool that an annotation is to be documented. It is designed to be used only as an annotation to an annotation declaration. The third built-in annotation is at target. The at target annotation specifies the types of items to which an annotation can be applied. It is designed to be used only as an annotation to another annotation. At target annotation takes one argument, which is an array of constants of the element type enumeration. This argument specifies the types of declaration to which the annotation can be applied. So the constants from element type enumeration are shown over here along with the type of declaration to which they correspond to. The last two target constants type parameter and type use were added by JDK 8. So in the previous versions, we do not have these two target constants. These target constants specifies the types of declaration to which the annotation can be applied to. We can specify one or more of these constant values in a target annotation. To specify multiple values, we must specify them within a brace delimited list. For example, to specify an annotation applies to only fields and local variables, we can use this target annotation. So here I have at target element type dot field element type dot local variable. So this tells that this annotation at target applies to only field and local variables. If you do not use at target, then except for type parameters, the annotation can be used on any declaration. Therefore, it is often a good idea to explicitly specify the target or targets so as to clearly indicate the intended uses of an annotation. At inherited annotation. The at inherited annotation is a marker annotation that can be used only on another annotation declaration. Furthermore, it affects only annotations that will be used on class declarations. At inherited causes the annotation for a superclass to be inherited by a subclass. Therefore, when a request for a specific annotation is made to the subclass, if that annotation is not present in the subclass, then its superclass is checked. If that annotation is present in the superclass and if it is annotated with at inherited, then that annotation will be returned. At override annotation. The at override annotation is a marker annotation that can be used only on methods. A method annotated with at override must override a method from a superclass. If it does not override, a compile time error will result. It is used to ensure that a superclass method is actually overridden and not simply overloaded. Next, we have the at deprecated annotation. At deprecated is again a marker annotation, and this indicates that a declaration is obsolete and has been replaced by a newer form. That is, when a class or method is deprecated, it means that the class or method is no longer considered important. That is, the class or method is so unimportant, in fact, that it should no longer be used at all, as it might well cease to exist in the future. At deprecated annotation is for runtime reflection. At functional interface. JDK8 has a marker annotation that was designed for use on interfaces and is called at functional interface. This annotation indicates that the annotated interface is a functional interface. A functional interface is an interface that contains only one abstract method. From Java 8 onwards, lambda expressions can be used to represent the instance of a functional interface. That is, these functional interfaces are used by lambda expressions. If the annotated interface is not a functional interface, then a compilation error will be reported. It is therefore very important to understand that at functional interface is not needed to create a functional interface. Any interface with exactly one abstract method is by definition a functional interface. Thus, we can say that at functional interface is purely informational. At safe whereas annotation. The at safe whereas annotation is a marker annotation which is used to suppress the unsafe operation warnings at compile time. Unsafe operation warnings come at compile time whenever a code invokes the method which is having varargs, that is variable number of arguments. The at safe varargs annotation can be used with method or constructor, and the method should be final or static. We can use at safe varargs annotation with the methods that cannot be overridden, because an overriding method can still perform unsafe operations on their varargs. At safe varargs annotation is used to indicate that methods will not cause heap pollution. These methods are always considered to be safe. At suppress warnings. At suppress warnings, this is a built-in annotation that specifies that one or more warnings that might be issued by the compiler are to be suppressed. The warnings that are to be suppressed are specified by name in their string form. An important note. We also need to know that to java.lang.annotation, JDK8 adds the annotations like repeatable and native, where repeatable annotation supports repeatable annotations and native annotation annotates a field that can be accessed by native code.
Some restrictions on annotation declaration. There are a number of restrictions that apply to annotation declarations. First restriction says that no annotation can inherit another annotation. Second restriction is all methods that are declared by an annotation must be without parameters. Besides these, they must also return one of the following: a a primitive type such as int or double, an object of type string or class, an enum type, another annotation type, an array of one of the preceding types. Annotations cannot be generic. In other words, they cannot take type parameters. Finally, annotation methods cannot specify a close clause. These are the these are some of the restrictions that apply on annotation declarations.
Before we conclude, we will have a quick glance on the topics that were discussed in this video. In this video lecture, we have briefed about the annotated element interface, wherein we discussed about some methods defined by the annotated element interface, which is defined in java.lang.reflect. Next, under the using default values, we have learned that we can give annotation members default values just by adding a default clause to a member's declaration, and that value will be used if no value is specified to the annotation member when the annotation is applied. Next, under the marker annotations, we have learned that a marker annotation is a special kind of annotation which has no members, and its sole purpose is just to mark an item or declaration. And to determine if a marker annotation is present, we can use the is annotation present method, which is defined in the annotated element interface. Next, under the single member annotations. Here, we have learned that a single member annotation has only one annotation member, and it allows a shorthand form to specify the value to the annotation member. Under the built-in annotations, we have discussed about 9 built-in annotations defined by Java. That is like at retention, at documented, at target, at inherited, at override, at deprecated, at functional interface, at safe whereas, and at suppress warnings. And lastly, under some restrictions, here we have discussed about some restrictions that apply to annotation declarations, like no annotation can inherit another annotation. All methods declared by an annotation must be without parameters, and they must return either a primitive type like int or double, or an object of type string or class, or an enum type needs to be written, or another enumeration or another annotation type, or an array of one of the preceding types need to be returned.